We are back on Coach's Corner East this Wednesday evening at the Galleon Pizza Hut. It's the Colonel Crawford portion of the show, and we're brought to you in part by Lee Plimo and Brad Seibert at the Plimo Insurance Group, Galleon and Bucyrus, North Central State College Mansfield, and the Crawford Success Center, North Walnut Street, across from the courthouse in Bucyrus. Phil and Sue Schreck at Phil's Deli, just east of where we are right now, Pizza Hut in Galleon, at the bridge in Galleon, Ohio. And welcome to the microphone tonight, assistant coach, defensive coordinator at Colonel Crawford High School. It's Brett DeGray, and welcome back for another session of Coach's Corner East.
Thanks for having me back.
So, as we just are finishing 7 weeks, 6 of those weeks I've had a very similar conversation with you, and Coach Teglovic, and Coach Bruner. It's been kind of the same old song and dance, so to speak. We run a lot, we score a lot, we win a lot. And for 6 of those 7 weeks, it's happened, and it did again.
Yes.
But a little different, again. You defeated Mohawk 48-21. You're 6-1 overall, 3-1 in the Northern 10 Conference. But Mohawk, isn't that correct? Did I miss that? 6-1, 3-1?
They scored twice, didn't they? I could be wrong.
Okay. Mohawk jumped out on top before you tied it 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. Did that surprise you a little bit as a defensive coordinator in what Mohawk did, that a team that's struggled a little bit, that's not their typical Mohawk?
No, that doesn't surprise me at all. They've got some good athletes on that team. A decent amount of seniors, and Fry, receiver, defense back. You got kids really athletic. From coaching track and field, I know he's good on the track, and he was a state champion in pole vault. So I mean, you got to be a decent athlete to do this. So, I mean, I knew we would have our hands full with him, and he scored, from what I remember, both their touchdowns.
Now, I know you're focused on the defensive side, but you are paying attention to what's going on the offensive side as well. What did Mohawk do to kind of slow your high-potent offense down a little bit and only held you to 1 touchdown in the first quarter?
I mean, for the most part, they went man across the board and they put everybody in the box. And I mean, it's tough to run against a 9-10-man box. I mean, that's tough. So, I mean, we tried to throw the ball a little bit, and we were, I think, struggling to get some guys open, but we still scored 48 points.
So what changed in the, I see what you're saying, 2 touchdowns as opposed to 20, okay, I got you, 48, it's 48-13 or 48-14, yeah, okay, my apologies.
No, that's all right. I'm hoping I'm right.
You end up getting 3 touchdowns in the second quarter to lead at halftime, 28-7. Then offensively, what changed for you? If they're putting that many and dedicating that many people in the box, and maybe that's a better question for the linemen, what happened differently? Was it the throwing, or because I can tell you, my stats say that Lincoln had another big game. So what changed?
He did. Momentum is a fickle. So I mean, it's tough. We lost momentum a little bit there. So I mean, I can't really say.
Yeah,
to be honest.
it just turned.
It just turned.
And when you're working with 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, anything can happen, right? Gotcha. The teams traded a touchdown in the third quarter, and then Colonel Crawford got 1 more in the fourth to round off the scoring. Your powerhouse running back, Lincoln Molikoff, just continues to amaze me at the numbers, and I'm sure it does you and your coaching staff as well. 21 carries, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, also had a 10-yard touchdown reception, 1,375 yards rushing on the year, 10.6 yards per carry. My public school math says that's a first down every time he touches the ball. That's pretty doggone impressive. 196 yards per game, 23 touchdowns, no fumbles. Kind of that Nick Chubb mentality of not fumbling, and that's outstanding. Your quarterback Cam Moore has thrown for 766 yards, 8 touchdowns and an interception. But you know, you got to win both sides of the ball. Yeah, the thing of it is you're scoring a lot of points, but you have to be proud of your defense because you're not giving up a ton of points.
No, I'm proud of these guys. I mean, they work hard, and it starts up front. I mean, you got to own the same thing on the offensive line and the defensive line. You got to own the line of scrimmage, and we've done an outstanding job of that all year. I mean, I think we only gave up -3 yards rushing in that game. I mean, we gave up a couple big pass plays, obviously 2 for touchdowns, but you know, you take those away, you know, and it was a good night for us. I mean, I know we gave up 200 some yards pass, and just shy of 200 yards. So, I mean, we need to work on that, but that's something that we've taken on our shoulders, and we're working on that in practice, and we're trying to get better every day. So,
You are the N10's leading offense, averaging 418 yards per game, 306 on the ground, 112 in the passing. And I've always said when you get into the playoffs and the weather starts to diminish, the fact that you can rush well is going to be in your favor for sure. And so that's a good thing. But you're also the second stingiest defense as well in the Northern 10, only allowing 237 yards per game, 89 rush, 148 pass. And not only is it the line, but it's the linebackers as well. And the DNs, got to give love to Carson here as a linebacker, I should say, not as a DN. I'm getting confused with the tight end on the offensive side. But just in general, how proud are you of this whole group, the way the defense is playing?
I mean, we talked about the last time I was here. We went into the season. I had a couple holes I was worried about. We had to fill in that cornerback position. I felt like we filled that early on, and we were worried about one defensive end spot. I knew that I had really solid interior tackles, and I wanted to make sure that we took care of that one defensive end spot, and we've done that by committee. I mean, we have several kids that we've been able to rotate through, and I'm really proud of how we handle the line up front, which frees up linebackers like Carson to run around and make plays and do what he does on defense. So.
Good. And as you mentioned that, we'll take a quick moment here and we'll talk to the young men around the table. Before we do that, I want to remind everybody that we're brought to you in part by Steve Kurtzman Associates at Innovative Recycling, 352 South Street, Gallion, Candy Bolin at Bolin Realty, 2 blocks west of the Uptown Gallion Square, and John Cross at Cross Carpet, and Custom Floors, 302 North Seltzer Street, downtown Crestline. Up first is senior, and all seniors tonight again. Carson Feichtner is here, and great to see you again. I appreciate you coming out, and when I look at my stats, you're second leading tackler in the Northern 10 Conference, still tracing Brian Crabtree at Winford. Not that I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound or anything, but just haven't been able to get over the top yet, but still extremely impressive. Are you amazed, as much as your offense is so talented, are you more impressed with what your defense is doing right now?
Oh yeah, our defense putting up big numbers. Like Gabe Thu, he's also on the leaderboard for tackles, and you got Carter Valentine for interceptions. And not to speak of our line and sacks and tackles for loss, and we're doing a great job there.
Does one feed off of the other? And what I mean by that is, if you're really rolling offensively, does that just really pump the defense to say, hey, we're doing such a great job offensively, let's shut them down, get the ball back, and score again?
Oh yeah, to be honest with you, it kind of starts with the defense. Shut them down there, and then get the ball to the offense and do what we do.
What's the limit that this defense can take to? Because Coach said you're not there yet. You still have room to improve. What are those areas of improvement, and how much is that going to take to get to that point?
I mean, yeah, we can definitely improve getting off the ball and just sticking to our solid rules, sticking to our gaps, and just doing yeah.
When you're out there at the linebacker position and Coach is dialing up a blitz here, is there times where he isn't dialing up a blitz and you say, hey, listen, I know I can beat this guy, I'm just going?
No, I never do that. I'm not much of a blitzing kind of guy. I like to get my read and kind of sit on the ball.
Okay, very good. Well, good luck this week. Buckeye Central, a natural rival, just up Route 602, and have fun and keep that train rolling.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for coming. Tahj Smith is up next, senior lineman, and how much fun are you having on both sides of the ball?
Well, I only play defense. But
Oh, okay. All right.
it's pretty fun though.
So when you're out there and you see your offensive line, you see Lincoln and Cam and everybody that's contributing, Kleiner, everybody's contributing, right? So many people. Do you say, or do you think to yourself, would you please just score so I can get back out there? You don't want to see these long, drawn-out drives. You want to just say, just give it to Lincoln, let him score, I want to get back out there. Do you think that, or do you just say whatever it takes?
I mean, it's kind of whatever it takes, but the faster that they score so I can get back out on the field is better. So if we make them big gains on the ground or pass for long yards, and that's better.
Yeah. Buckeye Central, a team that is struggling this year. They're struggling to score. They're struggling to get any kind of offense. And that's no disrespect to them or anything like that. They're through a growing process, and they're completely opposite of where you are right now. But you can't take anybody for granted at this point of the year. What have you talked about in practice to prepare for them?
Well, we just can't change anything that we've done like past games, like with bigger games like Buckeye Central. If we change anything, that's when we're going to mess up, and do something wrong and then not say then beat us, but not win by as much as we should.
Just keep doing what you're doing. Well, congratulations, good luck, and keep it going. Nick Teglovic is up next, and it's so great to see you again. How's things going? Okay.
Yes.
Good. Well, how can they be bad other than one game to a really good carry team? And I'll talk to Coach about this in a little bit, but because you're a senior and you're the coach's son, I can ask you, and because I can say anything I want as part of the media. Do you guys in the locker room, during your workouts, after practice, hanging out at friend's house, say, sure would be nice to get another shot at carry in the postseason? Or has that thought not even crossed your mind yet?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice, especially getting the 2 defensive linemen that we didn't have because of COVID rules and everything. I mean, man, that's what we'd love to have another shot at it.
Mm-hmm. I know you're focused on this week and then the week after and then the week after, but you have to start as a senior. As I talked to Gallion, they had one senior here tonight. Your paydays are starting to shrink, regardless of how far you go in the tournament. They are starting to shrink, and as seniors, all of you have to be starting to think that way. Wow, I don't have too many more practices. I don't have too many more paydays, and I got to empty the tank. Not each and every game, each and every play. Does that mindset cross your?
Yeah, I mean, football is the greatest sport out there.
Agreed.
You've got to play every play like it's your last, because you never know when it's going to be your last. We had one of our seniors break his collarbone, and man, I feel bad for that kid because he worked his butt off, and so I just put in perspective that you never know when it's going to be your last play.
That being said, how's your health right now as we're getting in late in the year?
I'm pretty good, I think.
Because as lineman, a two-way lineman, you're going to get dinged up.
Yeah.
So that just happens, but you feel pretty good, feel pretty fresh. Yep. Very good. Well, good luck this week against Buckeye Central. Finally, Weston Guinther is here tonight. Hi, Weston.
How we doing tonight?
Good. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
Just here for the pizza, or you want to talk a little bit?
I'll talk.
Okay. All right. So it's just. Do you even find yourself getting kind of, I don't know, maybe amazed isn't the right word, but just impressed by week after week what you guys are doing? I mean, you think about it, again, compared to last year, it's such a historic year for Colonel Crawford. And lose a bunch of guys, a great running back, a great quarterback, some key linemen, and then you're doing this. Does it surprise you?
Yeah, it's very cool how we're just continuing and getting better every week, and how we continued what those guys started last year.
Do you think it's because they set the tone and you were part of that and just picked up, or is it really something different?
I think we're just doing the same thing as what they did last year. We're playing every game like it could possibly be our last game, and we're just trying to better ourselves every day.
You have a couple teams coming up this week with Buckeye Central, Bucyrus next week, before you finish up with Seneca East, who's playing really good football right now. I watched them last Friday against Guinther. And is it hard to not look past some of those teams that just aren't playing well and look ahead? How do you stay focused?
You just stay focused by looking at smaller games as a practice so you can make yourself better for these bigger games. Don't doubt your teammates, or don't doubt your opponents, because those opponents could come out and possibly do something good against you, so you can learn from that experience.
Very good. Well, continued success, and it'll be fun to watch it as we come to the end of the regular season and into the playoffs. It'll be a lot of fun to follow. All right, you bet. I want to remind everybody you're listening to Coach's Corner East on the home of iconic rock, Q92.7. In North Central Ohio. We're brought to you in part by Terry Gribble and Associates of your Gallion Community Center YMCA, Dr. Erica Schieber at Bucyrus Veterinary Service, 222 West Mary Street in Bucyrus, Rod Steiger and Associates at Pizza Hut in Gallion, Bucyrus, host of our show since 1992, and Lou Ann Krebs at River's Edge Embroidery, screen printing and signs, sponsor of our phone board t-shirts. Back to defensive coordinator Brett DeGray of the Colonel Crawford Eagles, and games.
Don't bring that. Hey, don't bring it up. Two kids. They go to it's a police car. So you two fuck, right? And you both have some way we can fast forward, but you both get her. So if you beat his tournaments. You automatically get a both. So how are that like this school? I wasn't. You understand? You're correct. If two kids fight, okay, the police are called, and the parents. All right. Someone's what you say? And I gotta go to a take anyone with you need to go.
Hello, my name's
These guys are going to move on, and those kids are going to move into their spots. So there's always some self-scouting you got to do.
As we mentioned, Week 8 has Buckeye Central on the schedule. You head up to New Washington, up Route 602, a team that doesn't have a lot of numbers, hasn't had a lot of success. They're 2-5 overall, 0-4 in the Northern 10 Conference. But Chad Jensen continues to just work these kids. He's an excellent coach. He takes what he has and makes the best out of it. They had a tough loss to Bucyrus, who's also having a tough season, but getting better. 35-0 last week. They're only averaging about 14 points a game, but they give up about 35, which plays into your hands from an offensive standpoint. They average about 117 yards on the ground, only 81 through the air, 198 total, and they are really the least productive offense in the Northern 10. So as a defensive coordinator, you got to tell all these guys, say, you can't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs. We still got to bring our game. What have you talked about in practice this week as you prepare for the Bucks?
I know Coach Jensen very well, close friend of mine. He's going to make sure that his kids are ready to go. And every year, it doesn't matter if they're up or they're down. They always bring their A game against us. They always give us a tough game. We tell them every week, you have to focus on the little things. You have to work on being consistent in practice. You work on your craft. And they've done an outstanding job. Our kids have done an outstanding job of working in the individual drills and working on just getting better as a football player. And that's all you can focus on. Like I said, one day, 1 week, 1 game at a time. So.
One thing that always impresses me, not only about their football team, but Buckeye Central student athletes in general, is they're resilient. They just work. They have an unrelenting work ethic. Despite maybe they're not as talented as the other team, regardless of the sport, their work ethic is second to none.
It's been that way since I was in school. I can remember some very, very tough teams. I remember going head to head with Scott Crawford. I was a junior, he was a senior. He was a beast. Ended up being a Division I athlete. So, I mean, he was really tough. And then Lucius was running back. And then after that, they had 2 playoff caliber teams, which I believe they're honoring the 95 team.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, perfect, very good. Well, good luck to you. You will be the game of the week on our sister station, WBCO. You'll be up in Dutchtown for that game, and it's always fun. Regardless of, throw the records out. Those 2 teams are natural rivals, and it's a short trip. Should be a lot of fun. We certainly look forward to it. Thanks for coming out tonight. Continued success.
Thanks.
You bet. We'll be taking a break here. We'll be right back. The Crestline Bulldogs right after this time out.